Welcome back to the Be a Man podcast, where we encourage men to be better men. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Be a Man podcast. I am grateful you are listening. I've got an exciting episode for you, an exciting interview with Christian. He is a financial coach, financial advisor who brings a lot of knowledge to the table, just a down-to-earth guy who really just wants to see people handle their finances in a better way and really be in control of their money instead of letting their money control them. And he gives some awesome tips. And I know there's probably several of you who have got this money thing figured out, but maybe there's some others who are, this year's getting a little tighter. This year you're trying to plan things out a little closer, or maybe you've never heard anything about how to handle finances and you're in a mess and you just need a path forward. Or maybe you know somebody who you think this might be helpful to after you listen to it. Please share it with them, because we get into budgeting, we get into debts, we get into all the subscription services that are out there that nickel and dime you, and are they worth it or not, and just what to prioritize, what not to prioritize, but most of all, being honest with yourself about what you really need, what you don't really need, whether you need to really keep up with that other person or not, what real life is like, and how to live it and be in control of your finances. I think you're really, really going to enjoy this. You can find all Christian's info on in the description. I will leave it there. You can also find more info about myself, my Instagram, Twitter. You can listen on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, and YouTube. Please go like, subscribe, hit that little bell on YouTube. That really helps. Go rate, go leave a comment, go review on Apple and Spotify and those other services that let you do that. That really does help. But most of all, go share this with a friend. Maybe you know somebody who this could be helpful to. My whole goal in doing this is giving men like you an opportunity to encourage other men in areas that you have some expertise, or in areas that you think would be helpful to other men. Maybe you're thinking about, I don't have anything to add. I could go on there, but what am I going to say? Trust me, you have something to contribute to other men. Someone out there is going to connect with what you have to say. So please shoot me a message, shoot me a DM on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I would love to have you on. It is encouraging to me, and I think it will be encouraging to others as well. So please go and do that, because I do think you can be an encouragement and help other men become better men. So with that, let's get into it. All right. Welcome to the podcast. I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you introduce yourself so people can get to know you?
Sure. Name is Christian Moran. I work with Revolution Financial Management, and I'm a financial educator. And and it's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on. So financial educator, what does that mean?
So basically, we do a lot more than just, let's say, do policies for people. We educate them in things that we should have really been taught in school. You know what I mean? So let's say, for example, a lot of people, may not know how to budget, do their own budget, be like, oh, let's see how much I have coming in, and let's see how much I have going out. Some people just say, oh, let me put this amount for my bills, and then let me go, I don't know, out with the boys, for the next 4 weekends. But in reality, can their budget actually sustain that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I hear
you. Stuff like that, and and how, debt work, debt management, also how to stay out of it, and, just getting prepared for your later years. Like right now, like I said, guys in their early, mid-20s are like, oh, let's have a good time. But in reality, as we're having a good time, time is passing us by. And then it comes to an age where like, oh crap, I don't want to work 60 hours a week. Let me enjoy my family. Let me enjoy my kids. So it's a little bit of everything. So that's why I say financial educator, just because we're actually educating. The school system sure taught us this, but fortunately they didn't. So it has to be someone who does teach, families and individuals how to do this.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the education system, and I'm not sure if it's on purpose or not. I have theories that it might be. As much as credit card companies and different places, it's almost like they really want you to be in debt, especially these days. It just seems like that is some kind of behind the scenes agenda or something driving it all, because there's credit cards on this corner, on that corner. Every other ad seems like one on TV as well. And let's start at the basics. What are some keys to budgeting? What would you recommend if they're new to this, they didn't grow up with any of this kind of financial talk? What's the basics?
Basic is basically, so you want to start off with how much you get paid a week, right? So there's 4 weeks in a month, but let's say you get same thing if you get paid, bi-weekly, you get paid twice a month. So you just take that, add it all up, that's your total, right? And then you take your monthly expenses. Let's say like things that are non-negotiable, like let's say your cell phone bill, mortgage, or rent. Let's say you have some kind of insurance, which is either life or medical. What else? That's a car payments if you haven't paid that off. And obviously, if you have kids and a significant other, if you're depending on the relationship structure, everyone has their different. If you're the main provider, you take those into account as well. And then you have the ones that can be negotiated. Let's say like you have 20 subscriptions to streaming services that you do not use. Like I'm a little guilty of that as well.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, okay, as you add it all up, you do non-negotiables, add that all up, and then your negotiables, add that all up, and then, 2 columns. Then you put them together, and then you subtract it from your, monthly income. Now, then you'll see either, okay, am I earning more than what I'm spending, or am I spending more than what I'm earning? Mm-hmm. And then when you go from there, you have to be honest with yourself, like, okay, do I want to keep on doing the way I think I'm doing, or should I cut back at, let's say I go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and get a venti frap, which is like $10. If you add like all the extra stuff, that adds up every single day. By freaking the end of the week, you're $70 in deep, where that could have been $70 you could have spent more productively.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where you start. And then from there, depending on what you want to do, because each individual is different, you look at for future purposes, but that is mainly where you start. And then from there you go into, let's say you're in debt, and then that's where you proceed to deeper stuff, because you have to, because some people think, oh, I'm not making enough. But in actuality, are you making enough, or are you just spending too much? You have to live within your means. Because let's be real, that's what the wealthy do. The wealthy, yes, they buy lavish stuff here and there. But in reality, you hear a lot of these people talk, I think the other day I heard Emma Let, he had a guest on there, a female entrepreneur. She's like, I still have, my car from 2014. I couldn't buy a new one if I wanted to, but it's still good and running. Why would I need to buy something lavish when I have something that's still good and running? She's living within her means. Even though she's making a whole lot of money, living within your means is very vital in order to be able to go about your day. Because let's be real, as men, we're supposed to, talk a little bit outside of finances, provide, protect, and be the breadwinner, depending on the structure. I'm not trying to, stereotype anybody. But there, a lot of men, it has an effect on their mental well-being as well if they don't know how to budget themselves correctly. Or let's say your wife's a stay-at-home mom or significant other or whatever. They say they're taking care of the kids, then you gotta be the one who manages the expenses. If you don't know how to do that, you're responsible for those people, and those people look to provide for them and protect them. So that's where that's where you begin, because like you said earlier, it feels like it's a little done on purpose. How we're
Yeah.
not taught this in school.
Yeah.
So that's really the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you hit on a lot of things there. I think the subscriptions thing is huge because they sell it like, oh, you're saving because you don't have, satellite or cable or whatever service. But when you start adding them all up, it's like, I'm spending more now than I did before.
Exactly. Like, all the add-ons, like, it's done on purpose. Because let's say,
Yeah.
before, Hulu was what, with ads, $5.99 if I remember correctly. And then what used to happen was, because I remember back when Hulu first came out, there used to be one ad right in the middle of the show you're watching, a movie. Now there's like every 5 to 10 minutes ad, and there's like 2 to 3 ads. So now they get you annoyed. They're like, okay, I want the subscription without the ads, and that's what back then was maybe like $7.99 if they even had it. Now it's what, 13 or maybe $15 because of the inflation. So it's done on purpose. They want you to spend more, and then, oh, this show has this subscription has this show. Now this other subscription has this show, but only on this subscription.
Yeah.
So now you got to get that subscription. It's a little. You see where they're going with that.
Oh yeah, I hear you, and I think that's really hard for people, like to come to grips with. I really do, because let's be honest, things are, because of inflation, because of other things are getting tighter, and people who have never complained about money or any of that stuff are starting to complain, and they're starting to say, I'm gonna have to make some choices. It's getting harder and harder. So I wonder if you could speak to that. Like, what should people be prioritizing, or what can they do? I mean, canceling some of these subscriptions may be one of those things, but what are some other things people could do to, make the most of it right now? Because I don't foresee 2023 being any better, really.
Yeah. So some of the things that could be done is the things that obviously social media is a great tool to use, Twitter brand businesses, etc. But it's also a double-edged sword, because there's also a negative to it. And you see all these people promoting these brands like, oh, I get this supplement, I have this bag, I have this sneaker, and I had a discussion with my broker back when I started. He was like, you don't have to buy name brand supplements. You could go to Walmart and get the Walmart brand for $20 cheaper. And if you want to go even further and just go do like a diet, you could just buy some frozen chicken. What, 3 pounds is like what? Now with inflation, maybe like $10. At the time it was like $5. Wasn't that bad,
Yeah.
So you start there. It's like, oh, do I really want to show off and buy some name brand thing, but the store brand of wherever you're shopping for has the same effects? You know what I'm saying? And you have to ask, it's really all about being honest with yourself, because it's like, who are you trying to impress? Like, who are you really trying to impress? It's, as much as finance is about money, it's also a mindset thing.
That's good.
Because it's like, I feel like sometimes, because we're all super competitive. It's like, oh, I gotta show off because this guy's showing off. Or I gotta do this because this is helping this guy perform better, so I gotta perform better. Or those sneakers are why he are perform. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So you have to be honest with yourself. It's like, okay, let me stop doing this in order for the future, because all those short little things, it's temporary. You want those things that sustain. And a lot of reasons, when you're trying to live a life that you can't live, is why some marriages, fall apart. Why, unfortunately, some men choose to end their lives, because it's like, oh, I can't do this, that, and then provide for what I have to do. They start getting negative, start getting in their head. And unfortunately, that's why I believe educating not only men, but everyone, on how to really use like budgeting and then being just honest with themselves because you have to ask the hard questions. You have to like not no one else is gonna do it by yourself, and that's how you really get to living within your means.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's really good. I hear you hinting at some things there as you're talking, and I think educating people is sounds like that's what part of what drives you to do what you're doing. But I mean, what else drives you to do this to help others in this area?
Um, to be honest, so I'm the eldest of four, and my mom had me at a super young age. So like basically in her teens. So basically, I grew up as my mom was growing up. I remember her working double shifts at Kmart just to pay the bills before my dad came along. You know what I'm saying? So having witnessed that, like I could swear to you, man, just I could close my eyes right now and I would see everything all over again. It's so clear to me, and I wouldn't want anyone seeing their loved one go through that when they shouldn't have to. You know, granted, some situations are a lot different. Not everyone is provided with the same opportunities, unfortunately. Still, you can still go out there and make a good living, but you have to be honest with yourself to live within your means, and that's why it drives me. Because I'm be honest, besides being a financial educator, I train in boxing and mixed martial arts. And I would buy all this crazy supplement because my favorite fighters used to use them. These guys are ripped. Because I used to be overweight myself, so I would get everything. And then I started getting more into it. It's like, yo, do I really need this? No, I don't need this. So then maturing mentally from my early 20s to now, I'm about to be 30 in a couple of years. And then just being open minded, be like, oh, don't you remember your mom went through this? Like, come on, man, like. Do you want to put your future family and significant other in the same position where she could stay home with the kids if she wanted to? You want to give her that option. So you have to become the man to be able to do those things for them. You want to show your kids, listen, grandma had to do X, Y, and Z, but look what I did for grandma. So she doesn't have to do that anymore. Or she would never, it's a little bit of, you can never pay back your parents, but you want to let them know, I appreciate you and this is what I'm going to do for you.
Yeah.
And that's really what drives me.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that because I there's always something that drives. I mean, I mostly have men on here, so what drives men to do what they're doing? And it's cool to hear the stories that, just kind of what pushed them into this because I think men need a challenge. Men need something they're working towards. And I think and that may change over time. Like maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's, a profession, whatever it is, they need something that will challenge them in what they're doing. And I love hearing those stories about what kind of just pushes people into this because there's always something, that kind of flips the switch. And I've noticed you've been, doing a monthly challenge on Instagram. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was grueling to say the least. Actually, my broker, we have a men's group, and he actually challenged the whole group. And I'm not one to back down. Males, like high value men, they don't back down from challenges. So I'm like, I took it as, okay, if I fail, I learned what I need to work on. But if I do this and I succeed, it's like, yo, you have so much more than what you think you're capable of. Not only just, mentally, physically, but you can apply those same concepts to, being a financial educator, to just person developing yourself. Just, because as of men, we don't step up and become great men, high value men, then what are the next generation of men, young boys going to look up to?
Yeah.
I have two younger brothers, and they mean the world to me. So, my daddy's great. and he set the example for me because like also another reason what drives me is that my biological father he left us way back when I was like in fourth, third grade, and then my dad came through and raised me as his own. And man, I honestly I get a little choked up because I honestly don't know who or where I would be right now if it wasn't for that example of listen, you gotta do X, Y, and Z, and then go all over from ABC again. Because you might have missed something while you went through the first round, and then we go back to the beginning, back to the basics. You're gonna learn, oh crap, I missed this. Let me add this into my arsenal and then become better.
That's good. Yeah. Well, as you're talking there, and seeing you do the workouts and all those types of things, the word that keeps popping in my head is discipline, and the discipline that you need to keep going. Because I mean, let's be real, you don't feel like doing that every day, right? People don't like sticking to a budget. They don't feel like sticking to a budget every day. But can you talk to like how discipline? I mean, it's in all parts of life, especially in this area, but how essential discipline is to handling finances.
Ooh, I like that question a lot. So, like in everything, there's always temptation. There's always gonna be temptation. Like let's say you're feeling crappy and you don't want to cook dinner. What's easy to do? Oh, let me order some takeout or let me order some Uber Eats. Now, eating takeout might be a little bit cheaper than ordering Uber Eats because of all the fees and service, especially now that they charge for gas and tipping. But you have food at home, which is going to take at most 30 minutes to cook, and you already spent the money for that food instead of buying out. And let's be real, a lot of the places that these people are eating at aren't even good for your health. So when you take into account, again, it's like it says, discipline and being honest with yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You have to be true to yourself and be like, okay, I want this out of life, or I want to do this. Discipline is going to get you there, and then being honest is going to keep you disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Because discipline is good, but if you lie to yourself, you can be disciplined in the wrong kind of ways. But if you're honest with yourself and ask yourself the hard questions like, oh, am I doing the right thing? Like a lot of people are like, oh, the Christian has a little bit of a negative connotation. It's like, yes, it can be a little negative if it hits home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's honestly, I want to say it is a key thing because throughout the years, being honest with myself has helped me a lot. Like I would, being young, you like to shower, your significant others with gifts. Like, oh, babe, you want that? I got you. Oh, you want that too? I got you. And then comes to the time of moment, all your bills are due. You're like, dang, did I really have to buy her all of that stuff? Like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with gift giving. There's nothing wrong with that. But the point is that you didn't have to give her all those gifts. You could have easily made her, I don't know, like you crochet her a scarf, like the fact that you went out of your way to learn something that you didn't know and then you made it yourself.
Yeah.
Probably a lot cheaper than buying her expensive jewelry, bags, shoes, etc. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a discipline is a error and trial process because I wasn't always disciplined. I'll be honest with you. It's rough. But it is something that will give you lessons. I don't see it as failing, I see it as lessons. So if you look at it like that, then discipline is a lot easier than people think. Because it's like, I gotta save money. That sounds super negative. But you say like, oh, I get to save money. Because then I'll get to go on vacation, if you're able to live within your means, to be honest with yourself, or I get to buy this tool that I really wanted so I can do the project I really needed to do. So that's how I take the approach of being disciplined in financial aspect. I like to eat, man. I do. I like my snacks. So I'll be like, Christian, do you really need a snack, or can you go home and make some sort of snack that's kind of like it?
Yeah. Yeah, we live in a more rural area, so it makes it easier not to eat out as much. Because when we didn't, I mean, we would go out all the time. Pre-kids, we would go out all the time. I just think now I'm like, man, we could never do that. Because now with 4 kids, it's like you're doing well. I mean, even McDonald's is like $50 now.
Oh,
I mean, it just you can't get around it anymore. So you just have to be creative. So it's hard. It's a challenge. I know it's a challenge for a lot of people, and they're struggling right now. And I just wonder, what are some, people are kind of getting into side hustles and things to do on the side to try to get a little extra money, especially with some expenses and things going up right now. What are some that you've seen that are really effective or efficient, I should say?
um, well, ooh, I like that question. So to be honest, I can't really recommend anything just because I am a licensed professional. But I
I
would
get
say doing your due diligence. Let's say, for example, you want to invest in something. You have to know how compounding interest works. How long it takes you, for your money to double. It's the way how credit cards get you into debt. Just so learning that, and let's say, okay, I invest in this real estate, right? I flip it, and then I want to sell it. You have to know the numbers in order to be able to sell it at a profit where you gain a lot more than what you put into it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's like I said, it all depends on the person. Because let's say you're not working with anything, and then this is great for people who use social media in a positive aspect. You can start a business that way. You know, I believe what E.T. The hip hop preacher Eric Thomas. I think he started his business. Like motivation speaking on social media. All these guys were like, oh, you got to pay me X, Y, Z. He just put it out there on social media for everyone to see, gain the attraction that way, and now I'm not sure how much he makes, but probably makes a lot more than what he did in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? That's one way to go about it. Using social media if you don't have anything. Again, I'm not recommending anything, but that is an option for an individual. And then there's individuals who might have a little side cash to invest. You look at, okay, where can I invest this money where I can make the greatest return? And then it's honestly, I keep saying this, but it's really doing your research, doing your due diligence, because it might seem like a sweet deal on the surface, but if you're not getting what you need in return for it to be worth it, then I will rethink my options, because we have this saying, you probably heard the saying, if it's easy, it's probably not worth it. And if it's not easy, it's probably worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Side hustles are great, but if it's easy, is it really worth it? Because you might lose more in the end than what you gain.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I hear what you're saying there. That makes complete sense. And I think, people are just trying to look for, different avenues they can, prepare. Because again, I don't think 2023 is going to be much better than this year, if not worse. And they're already looking at it. So, especially with energy costs and that sort of thing. And it's just,
It's crazy because, did you see on the news how they changed the definition for inflation in order to say that we're not in inflation? It's like, what? Or recession, my bad. I'm sorry. It was recession. Pardon me. But I'm sitting like, what? Like, did they really just? No way. Like, it's not Wikipedia. It's not Wikipedia. You can't just change the definition to suit you. It makes no sense to me, because when you look at the real numbers, they say that, I believe the last time I checked, we were like at 7 or 8, possibly 9, right? The real numbers are in a double digit. They're, hitting numbers between 10 and 14, possibly even higher. So you're right in the sense that, oh crap, 2023 is not going to look that much better. and
no,
these people in office who are supposed to help us are not helping us.
no.
No,
I
so
it's either they don't know what they're doing, which is quite possible, or they're doing it on purpose for some reason, or maybe a little bit of both. I can't tell which one because there
it,
just seems to be a utter ignorance they have.
it really is. I want to say it's a combination of both, in my opinion. But with that being said, there are some good changes. Like Florida, I believe, just I don't know if the whole state or a part said that in order to graduate, you have to take financial literacy classes, which I thought was a huge win.
Yeah,
Huge win.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, different people have different views on DeSantis. I've gained a lot of respect for him these last few years. I mean, just the things he's pushing, and it's just, they come at him just harder and harder and harder, and he just stands and he's just like, bring it on, I can take it. And I that kind of person earns a lot of respect. He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't get, he could blast off on him all he wants. He could say, hey, look what all I've done, and brag and all this stuff, but he doesn't do that. And I'm like, I mean, he does a little, and they all do a little, but he just, stands his ground and say, yeah, we're not going to be like that. We're not going to give in. Like, that's pretty cool. That's I can respect somebody like that.
He's a real badass. He knows how to stay calm through the chaos, which I think it's huge. And yes, like I've only recently, I say since the start of being a financial educator, started getting into a little bit keeping up with politics, and I agree. He's one of the more people that have gained the respect because he deserves it, man. He's let's say you have to be the change you want to see, and he is being that change that he wants to see, which is awesome. He's great. I love it. Up here in New York, I wish our politician was a little bit similar like that, but no, it's
you might have some different leadership here soon. Who knows?
Oh man,
I'd be shocked. But
it's like which one is your lesser evil? You know what I mean? But
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's just I've been kind of following along just to see what I'm in Illinois, so it's not that much different than New York, really. I mean, except I mean it's kind of like New York. You've got Chicago, but then the rest of the state is completely different than Chicago. And I mean it's probably 90% farmland outside of Chicago. So, which is not what you think about when you think of Illinois, but the majority of the state, we're just a lot smaller than what Chicago is. So Chicago has the bigger voice, and we suffer for it.
I get it. I'm actually out here on Long Island, so when like the whole lockdown thing was going on, you see havoc all throughout, the city. You see people over here. It was a little commotion here and there, like anything. But all you see people is like, oh, put on a mask. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, oh, it's not on. Like, it's simple, but it's because the city's a lot bigger than Little Long Island. They had, like you said, they have the bigger voice, and hopefully, like you said, things will change. But it is great. We get a little farmland down here. There's actually one of the nicer things, a lot of vineyards, more so than farmland, but it's nice scenery out in the fall. So I definitely recommend, sometime come out in the fall, just visit the vineyards, and it's nice little scenery out here.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. So if people, they want to talk to you or reach out to you, where's the best place that they could do that?
They could reach me at my Instagram, which I believe on top of my head, and I should know it, right? But who guy doesn't know his Instagram handle is all lowercase Christian _M 294. That's where they can reach me at, and they can just direct message me, and I'll get back to them. We can sit down at time to work out what their needs, and it's, believe it or not, it's entirely free. I don't charge people for what they need to sit down with me. It's I help you, and if you have someone else I can help, send them through, and then that's all I ask.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'll put all that in the description and stuff too. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you, I really appreciate this. This has been a really good conversation. I just think a lot of people are these questions are starting to pop in their head about what am I going to do next year? And, and they're starting to wrestle through that. And I've got some teenagers coming up who are like, I don't have a clue how to do any of this. I just have this magic card that I can just stick in the thing. Money pops out. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think given some basics here about budgeting and what to prioritize and all those, you don't need all the subscriptions. I think all that's great. I think that will be very helpful to people as they're doing this. And I just want to tell you, I really appreciate it. And I want to give you the last word. Any final, statements, challenges, any of that sort of thing.
I do have a challenge. I challenge people to be honest with themselves, to be like, oh, if I want to have the life I want to live, you have to be honest with yourself now in order to have that life in the future. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do I really need to buy that pre-workout, or can I just drink a cup of coffee and then go live? You know what I'm saying? Because a cup of coffee at home will last you a lot longer, because, depending on how much you buy, than a $50 pre-workout, that, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking the supplement business. I hope they don't come after me for that, but, do you really need what you want to buy? That's my challenge. Ask themselves, do I really need to buy what I want? And if you don't, you just help yourself in the future. You don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
So with that being said, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It's an honor to be on here. I believe what you're doing is great, and just keep on doing, man. I love your podcast. I listen to it every time you release a new episode, and just keep on doing what you're doing, man. You'll be changing this world. I truly believe that with great confidence.
Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate that. There's, it's humbling. I didn't think any of this would go anywhere. And then I started getting messages and things. I'm like, this is kind of fun, because the truth is I wanted to give guys like you a platform, just kind of get their word out and encourage other men. But I find myself more encouraged than anything else, because this is just fun. 20 years ago, we're not doing this. You know what I mean? And there's just new avenues that we have available to us now where we can have conversations like this and hopefully encourage other guys out there who are just trying to figure this thing out. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Hey, it's like what they say, when you do what you love, it's not a job. You're just doing it for fun. And that's what you're doing, man. It's great. And you're changing lives doing it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Christian. I really appreciate that, man.
Appreciate you too.